how things look. Because what I see may not always be the way it's going to work out. I just see it with my human eyes, but he's seeing it another whole way. Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief. His transparency. The Lord must get excited when I say, Lord, I can't. I've been waiting for you to say that. We can try to get some things done. Amen. Amen. Sometimes the way up is down. Luke 14:1 says, he who humbles himself will be exalted in due time. 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourself therefore under the mighty hand of God so that he may exalt you.
That's right.
You see, to let him do the lifting.
All right.
But you and I must begin by being humble.
Yeah.
And the reason some of us haven't been able to get God's activity into our agony is because of our pride. Pride. Unoffered prayers. That's pride. When you don't communicate with him at all, and you just have it your way, those are results you usually get your way. Never works out, never makes any sense, simply because you are doing it your way, not humbling ourselves, not being prideful. This man was not prideful. He was honest. And beloved, that ought to be a posture that you and I take, that we humble ourselves and allow him to take your little bit of faith and do a great work. Mm-hmm. Notice what Jesus did not say. He did not say, well, come back once you, shore up your faith quotient. We might do something. He didn't send the man away and say, well, by now, watching me long enough, you ought to know what I can do.
Amen. Yeah.
No. Jesus went forward and intervened in spite of his little faith. The Bible says, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall be removed, and nothing shall be impossible for him to be. He can handle our small faith. Amen. As long as we turn it over to him. Let me tell you something. When you start talking about increasing your faith, all you've got to do is let your mind roll back. I mean, just think about what he got you already. That's right. You think the first time you ran the first time you couldn't see your way clear. All you got to do is let it go back, and then begin to say, wait a minute. Didn't something similar to this happen? I can make this. And sometimes you got to talk to yourself like that. I mean, sometimes you just got to be, I don't know, call me crazy, but sometimes, you're on your way somewhere and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. I just started quoting the Lord's Prayer. That's right. That's right. You are my dad. And Papa, I know I can come to you. And you said you would take your arm out once. Just start practicing what he has done. And then exercise obedience. This man was obedient. If we're going to see the next point, he took his hand off of it. If we're going to get God's activity into our agony, we must be willing to do as God has directed us to do. In other words, I've got to yield. I've got to get my hands off of it. I've got to say, Lord, I'm going to give you the steering wheel of my life. Because I'm liable to get myself in a ditch if I keep trying to operate this vehicle. So I'm going to give you the steering wheel of every area of my life. My marriage, my finances, my career, how I serve you. I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm taking my hands off of it. And have you reached a point where you're saying, Lord, I'm taking my hands off of my life. I'm turning it over completely to you. Surrender is submission.
That's right.
No, that's a tough one. Because human nature says, "Now you have to do it your way." And all he did give you common sense. Be careful with common sense. I want the mind of Christ. Because my common sense gets me in trouble. No, I need the mind of Christ in my mind. Because common sense says you are yell at that. Christ said, no, you better not yell at that. You don't need to defile nothing. You'll catch it. Be careful about common sense. Because it can get you into some mess. 5 minutes, 20 years to get out. All right, I'm trying to keep this G-rated. But you got to be careful. You know, jumped out there and spending beyond your means. Now you broke. Bankruptcy. Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and pride of life. Those three enemies are always following you. They never far off. So begin to look at some of the things that the Lord has done in the past. Amen. If we're going to get God's activity into our act. The first thing this man did was interesting. He got out of the way. He got out of the way. If you're going to get God's activity into our agony, beloved, we must be willing to move. Look at how this thing progressed. He came. What a son to Jesus. Jesus was not there. Jesus shows up. The man explains his plight, his situation. Jesus said, you know, if you can believe, all things are possible. The man said, Lord, I believe, help out my unbelief. And then we hear nothing else from this man. All right. Off the scene. We never hear a mumbling word from this man. If we're going to get God's activity to our agony, learn the art of getting out of God's way. This man did not come back and say, Lord, is it really going to work this time? Is the outcome going to be different this time? And maybe the reason some of us can't get God's activity into our agony is because we have not moved out of God's way. Every time he tries to remove us from the mess we in, we keep trying to figure it out and work it out. The reality is we don't have the mind or the skill sets to be able to do that. That's why he's gone. That's why I gotta trust him. So the man moved out of the way. I'm not the most gifted person when it comes to doing household stuff, drywall and all that. Some folks are really good at that. I happen to be one of them. But anyway, Mr. Ronald, the gentleman that I called, been worked with us about 15 years now. Good friend. Point now where I just give him the key. Say, Mr. Ronald, no problem. Mr. Ronald lets me know how much and he comes take care of it. But here's what happened. When I explained the situation to him, and he lets me know what the problem is, I don't stand over Mr. Ronald. He does the job.
Right.
I don't say, Mr. Ronald, you think that should be a quarter inch or? You think that's going to be enough wood? What about the towel? You think that's large enough? But when I give it to Mr. Ralph, I'm giving it to Mr. Ralph because of his track record. Mr. Ralph has proven time and again that he can be trusted with the task that I give. So all I do is give him the key and open my check. So when I finish, I pay him. But I don't stand over the man peering saying, well, I don't know, that could be a little long. Like, you sure that's going to fit? Christ is saying, listen, when you give me the situation, when you turn it over to me, what I need you to do is simply move out of the way so that I can do what I need But for men, just stay out of the way. Beloved, that ought to be our posture. Learn to stay out of the way once you have given it to him. You're trying to go back and fix something. Well, if you can fix it, why'd you have to call me first?
That's right.
I mean, his resume is impeccable. When have you given him something and he not able to fulfill or do it? Preaching to me. Let him have at it. Because he's much better at doing this than you. And that's what this father was able to do. He knew how to get out of the way. And beloved, that's something that you and I can do. Those are points that we can implement right now.
Amen.
We don't have to wait till later. You can leave here saying, I'm going to get God's activity into my act. I'm going to aggressively pursue him. I'm going to invite him to my situation. I'm going to come clean with God. I'm going to be honest with him. Let him know where I'm at. And then I'm going to turn it over to him and trust the outcome to him.
Amen.
Why can I trust the outcome to him? Because he always has one more move. Two men were looking at a painting. One of the men happened to be an international chess player. In the painting, one of the characters looked like a man, and the other one looked like the devil. The painting is called Checkmate. Man said, I'm going to walk around. He said, there's something about this painting. You go ahead. I'll catch up with you later. So this international chess player kept looking. This painting, he was troubled by it. It didn't make sense to him. After a while, his friend comes back. You still looking at that painting? He said, yeah, I'm still looking at it because we have to find out who painted this. I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, we got to find out who painted it because that's not the right type. He said, what are you talking about? He said, because I'm an international chess player and I know how to play chess. And from what I can see, the king has one more move. I just stopped by to let you know that you can trust our Lord and Savior. Whatever you go because the king still has one more move. I don't know what it looks like to me, but I'm glad that the king I deal with always has one more move. One more move? You can get God's activity into your act because the king has one more.
Amen.
And Father, we do thank you. We do rejoice in the fact that you do have one more. Help us realize, Lord, that you can always bring your activity into our act. We thank you, Lord, that person here who does not know you in the free pardon of their sin. Lord, they've been trying to work it out for themselves. They need to allow you to handle their act. That you show up and you show yourself strong and mighty in this life situations. So Lord, I pray now that you would move